Okay, Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, Salatu Wassalamu ala Rasulullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I just had a little problem with my health. I used to be epileptic, and I was cured of that, and then just suddenly now it just happened again. So I just started although I take my medication and everything, I have to make sure that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helps me with this. Anyway, so where we were at the moment is that one should not, however, get the impression that the discrepancy mentioned above is only a factor involved. Um, yeah, I was at this point. Third, the chronological age gap between the men and ladies at the time of marriage has been noted as a factor which encourages polygamy. This is something very, very interesting. I keep saying this to to a lot of people. A lot of people don't want to kind of listen and think that no. There is a big difference between age. You cannot have a girl of 20 something wanting to marry no, I was going to say exactly, but anyway, to marry somebody much, much older than her. I think that's wrong because not because the Prophet ﷺ did it with Aisha. That means we have to follow it. The Prophet ﷺ had certain things that were made for him only, okay, and that were not made for us, obviously. So let me just go back and check something to make sure that I am going out now because again yeah. So I'm back again. Yeah, I'm back again. So let me see. I just a lapse of memory. Don't understand what happened. Let me see. Yeah. Wait. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going out. No problem. So I can carry on. Yeah, I just kind of had a lapse of memory for a minute, and I couldn't carry on. I preferred to stop it and then maybe restart it again. But now I'm feeling okay, so it's not a problem. Okay, so this thing of age is very, very important. Okay, it's very, very important. I think it's very, very, very important. Not because the Prophet ﷺ done it. Like I said, there's things that were made for him and not made for us, and we cannot because he done it. There was a reason why Aisha radiallahu anha was actually given to the Prophet ﷺ from Allah because of faculties. Okay, which made her the best alima in the history of Islam. Okay, so scholars have argued that in many parts of Africa, men normally get married in late in life, thus creating a pool of marriageable women. One should not, however, get the impression that the discrepancy mentioned above is the only factor involved. Has Hillman has conceded that other factors at work include the annual population increase and the relative mortality rates among the male population. Very important. We have to realize the amount of men that actually dying. Okay, the men that are actually dying, you have to bear that in mind. Now, if you have a load of men dying and you have a lot of sisters who are without husbands, then what's going to happen? Yeah, what's going to happen then? Obviously, this is what encourages. See, this is very, very much like Islam. They've taken it from Islam and made their own way, their own type of polygamy kind of thing. We don't accept this. We don't accept that. We don't accept this. We accept that kind of thing. Okay, so okay, women as a rule marry at an earlier age than men. Okay, this is what we've been trying to tell a lot of sisters who want to go out and work, get diploma, get a higher diploma, become PhD and everything. And then what happens? They're no longer in the pool. They're no longer in the pool to get married again. So men in the younger age groups are excluded from the pool of marriageable ages marriageable ages. Further, it is assumed that the number of births is increasing from year to year. If then women marry at 15, see another thing again. This makes me laugh. Yeah, when we discuss with the Christians, they're always mocking us about polygamy, about the marriage of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and like this and that and the other, and like well, Africa, you can see, if the woman aged 15 in certain countries is younger, in certain countries it's older or whatever. There is no age limit. If the girl becomes a baligh, if she becomes mature, the parents marry them. Okay, so these we have to realize that when we're into comparative religion, and we're always discussing with the Christians and everything, we see that their own books, their own scholars are giving the answers. Yeah, their own scholars are answering these points that they are actually raising. And we don't have to do it. Like, their own scholars are doing it for them. Okay? They marry men born 5 years earlier than their own date of birth. But 5 years earlier, fewer births were occurring. A large difference between the ages that the ages at marriage of men and women in the population of high mortality, which increases with increasing number of births, tends greatly to reduce the women's chances of getting married in a monogamous society. So it's something, you see, they're taking, this is what I don't understand. Those who don't know about it will make issues of it, yet those who know about it are writing about it. They're writing books on their own. This is why I wanted to kind of tackle these things, so that you can understand about polygyny, that it's not something that is that is from Islam only. Okay, it's been going from a long time, and you see how they're fitting this in, and a lot of it is actually the same as in Islam. The above points sound rather attractive if taken at face value. It seems, however, to be based on the theory that that every woman must get married. Yes, everyone must get married. Why do we leave a certain amount of women who will die, like not married or whatever? Well, all other women have got their happiness, they're married, and not every man is bad. Not every man is in drugs. Not every man is abusive. Not every man. You find a lot of sisters will turn around and say that, like, men or this, men or that, or whatever. No, that's not true. Okay. So anyway, right. Further, on what basis should a certain African Kenyan men marry more than one wife, while others marry only one? Fourth, traditionally, polygamy was motivated by economic reasons. Marrying more than one wife and producing several children ensured the division of labor. Wives and their children worked in the fields, which would enhance productivity. Now remember, we're talking of places where people were farming, people were like this thing about Russia. This about Russia, where they have a lot of land, they have big land and everything, and they need to expand. Who's going to do the job? Yeah. So wives and their children worked in the fields, which would enhance productivity. Young men encouraged themselves in looking after cattle, while the father's duty was to oversee the working force. It should be emphasized, however, that the economic perspective of polygamy is increasingly losing ground, especially in Kenya. Okay, so rearing children is becoming an awesome responsibility. Okay, so not everyone can do it. Many rural areas are facing hardship in a day-to-day living, and the rain on which they depend is oftentimes unpredictable. Now, in Islam, we believe that Allah, when Allah creates some person, the person comes with their rizq. They come with their own rizq, so it doesn't matter. The person will actually be. Actually, what's happened is that I should have brought this nearer to me now. I think the sound is going to be a little bit. Doesn't matter. But anyway, yeah. So yeah. So 1 2 1 2. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So okay. Fifth, polygamy has traditionally been motivated by the desire to care for widows. Whoa, 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 whoa. See, in Islam, the Prophet ﷺ, he cared for widows, and he told us, the benefits of caring for widows. See, so the whole of Africa now, all these countries have stuck to these Islamic traditions. Yeah? Yet our own sisters don't want to know about it. Yeah. Okay, for most African men, it is socially accepted outside of the church, of course, that the brother or close relative should marry the woman of his brother or cousin in order to preserve the lineage department. Now, this is not Islamic. What I was saying was Islamic was the fact that, you can take a widow and look after her son, look after her daughter, whatever child she has, like your own, and alhamdulillah, you'll get big rewards for it. Okay, so let's go back up. But for them, they believe in the biblical concept that the brother or cousin should marry that widow now in order to preserve the lineage of the dead person. Some African scholars argue that African practice mentioned above reflects that of the Levitical law, has pointed out that the Old Testament describes two women who protected their Levitical right. Ruth in the book of Ruth and Tamar in the book of Genesis 38:26. Sorry, 38:6. Okay, so we see that you have the as you've got the Islamic what's her name way in it, and what they've done is they've added their biblical way, because obviously they're not Muslims. Yeah, the fact that they're not Muslims, and they've added the what's her name to it, the biblical way. Seventh, another factor which encourages polygamy among Africans is prestige. In this case, some wealthy men get married to young-looking girls in order to show off status, social status. Among them, Kamba tribe of Kenya, to which the writer belongs, polygamists boast of their younger wife or wives, calling them Katinda Nguni. That is, one who occupies the heart. And finally, the polygamy is motivated by the lust and evil desires. I wouldn't say evil desires, because this is the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us. See, this is where we differ now. We got them similarities, and we got them what's the name? What do you call it? We got similarities, and we got them differences as well. Anyway, let's let me see. Okay, because I'm seeing that it's a yeah, sound is going out. Okay, so I was getting worried because my mic was a bit far away earlier on. So anyway, let's do the last part, and we'll go back to our book. Yeah, finally, Polygamy is motivated by lust or evil desires. The factor is, however, disputed by scholars who argue that this should not be brought forth in the discussion. For example, Shorter, 1974, wrote, "It is completely wrong to imagine that male lust or selfishness is the principal motive behind polygamy. Men could satisfy their lust through adulterous unions and concubinage, which is obviously not allowed in Islam. Islam doesn't allow that. So Islam is telling you to do it through the what's the name? Through marriage. Okay, so you don't do any adulterous unions, or concubines were allowed before. Polygamy serves the posterity and growth and extended family, and provides status and support for women in the society where they have no vocation other than marriage and the bearing of children for their husband's lineage. So this is before, like obviously nowadays women go to universities and everything. But like I keep saying, that woman shouldn't want to out earn her husband, because he's the actual uh, provider. He's the actual provider, and you can't take that away from him. This was given to him by Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, "Al-rijal kawamun ala nisa." Okay, so the man has that degree of let's say care, responsibility, over the woman. If you take that away from him, what's he going to do then? Your man's going to sit at home all day, and you're going to work and then provide for the family. No, that's not the way Islam works. So that verse is clear. It should be pointed out that the status of women in Kenya, for example, has changed greatly since the above statements were written. For example, there are more educated and working women today than it was in 1974. It does not help much to spend time and trying to justify polygamy. Rather, more time and energy needs to be spent on how the churches of Africa should deal with polygamous situations, and issue that to be dealt with in later paper. So anyway, we've seen this now. Yeah, we've understand this on how the actual church was accepting this. Yeah, these are the reasons why it was encouraged. Had nothing to do with the church, nothing to do with them, what Jesus taught or whatever he didn't teach, or whatever, has nothing to do with that. Like I read earlier on, the church fathers were Augustine and Thomas Aquinas were actually pro polygyny. Now, I'd like to read something to you. I'd like to read a book, very interesting book here, called "When Daddy Doesn't Want to Be Daddy Anymore." Okay, an argument against paternity fraud. Now, there was a time when men were actually put in situations where they accepted babies that were not theirs. Okay, I don't know how these men were doing this, but they were taking responsibility. A woman was she had a boyfriend or whatever before. She got pregnant from that boyfriend, left the boyfriend or whatever. Another one steps in, and he steps in now, and suddenly now he takes the child as his. Now, when he takes the child as his, he's the one who signs the birth certificate. Now, if you refuse to pay him, what do you call it, child support, you can end up in prison. Okay, you end up in prison. Now, this guy's already signed. He signed the birth certificate and made the child as if the child is his. Now, this book here, "When Daddy Doesn't Want to Be Daddy Anymore," an argument against paternity fraud, by Melanie B. Jacobs. If you can look for this book, it's very interesting. Okay, there was a couple attorneys in America recently that were helping these men get out of these traps. Yeah, maybe like you'll have the girlfriend or the wife, even, like if he's got married to her after after a while. you will have this man who gets married to this woman. She's still pregnant, and then when the child is born, he signs the paper. Things that go pear shaped, you know, after a while, and now she takes him to court. She takes him to court. It's your child. You signed. You shouldn't have signed. Kind of thing, like, you know. For wrongly convicted felons, improved DNA testing has increasingly provided the means by which innocence is proved and freedom from incarceration secured. A recent study of 328 criminal cases and subsequent exonerations over the past 15 years that DNA evidence contributed to 145 of those exonerations, and moreover, that DNA evidence helped free inmates in 88% of the rape cases in the study. Former Governor Ryan of Illinois made national headlines when he commuted the death penalty sentence in of 167 inmates because of new evidence that many on death row were innocent of the crimes they were convicted. Okay, this hasn't tackled the problem we're talking about right now, but it's just kind of like, explaining it now. DNA testing has applicably well beyond criminal law. However, improved genetic testing is changing how we define traditional families. While the res judicata and estoppel principles have long been used to preserve unitary nuclear family, some states are moving from these doctrines in favor of biological paternal certainty. Okay, now we're going to begin to get into it now. Now they're beginning to kind of like prove that this, through DNA, that this person is not the father. Through the DNA, and these people are being exonerated. Thus, if a man is not the biological father of a child and was either uncertain or unaware of this biological fact, he may petition to establish paternity. Now, that's very, very important as well. You have a lot of women out there, I'm not saying our Muslim sisters or whatever, who actually, go from boyfriend to boyfriend, and a fight happens between them or whatever, between her and her boyfriend, and she ends up going with another guy, then comes back to her boyfriend again. And if she gets pregnant, and the guy thinks, well, since she was with me all this time, it's just a little issue or whatever happened between us, then that means that the child is mine. Yeah. So he's ending up raising somebody else's child, and he ends up, they end up in prison because of this. This establishment petitions represent the emergence of a new family law phenomenon: paternity fraud. Many men who have either been adjudicated fathers or who have voluntarily acknowledged their paternal legal rights are now challenging the property of the legal determination, because genetic testing subsequently revealed their non-paternity. There's these court cases you see on TV. Father. Can't remember the name of these programs now, but you have courts showing in America and everything, which they do the DNA, and they find the real father. A grassroots movement is underway to exonerate these innocent fathers from the bonds of parentage. This is what I keep saying, that you get a lot of women who want to make them who want to get married, but they're looking for a stepfather for their children, and many men fall in this trap. They fall in this trap. Okay, put the name or whatever in on the what do you call it, birth certificate, and then they end up, not able to pay the money, and end up in prison. Likening newly discovered evidence of non-paternity to DNA testing that exonerates a felon. The U.S. Citizen Against Paternity Fraud website includes the motto: "If the genes don't fit, you must acquit." Okay, right. So this is like, just wanted to go through this. There's some cases in there. uh, okay, let's let, let's read one case. Okay, for instance, Patrick McCarthy learned after his divorce that his 13-year-old daughter was not biologically his. So he's been paying him, what's the name, alimony or whatever, and whatever, and the child was not his. Also, although he tried to terminate his paternity and child support obligations, he was unsuccessful. He has insisted he has instead become a leading activist in the battle for paternity fraud reform, and has found New Jersey Citizen Against Paternity Fraud, an organization that recently paid for 50,000 for 9 billboards along the highways that show a pregnant woman, and reads, "Is it yours? If not, you still have to pay." Okay, so it's got a lot of stories in this. A very big book. I don't want to kind of stay too long on it. Just giving you some examples of what's happening around the world, and how brothers, even our brothers, are falling in these traps. Yeah, I'm taking these examples. A lot of sisters are not happy because, like, I'm reading things, and, like, that they don't like to hear, and they're actually, like, blaming me for it. But no, these are things that are being done, outside, and our brothers and sisters are falling for it. Anyway, let's go back to the book that we're supposed to be doing, and we'll work on that now. Yeah, the female psyche. We were supposed to be doing the female psyche. Yeah, to understand the reaction to polygamy, one first has to understand the nature of women. Very, very important. Yeah, there are certain behaviors and emotions that especially applicable to a woman. In the Quran, teaching of the Prophet ﷺ, and secular studies have described these particular attributes in detail. And probably the most recognized and descriptive hadith about the nature of the woman is the hadith that follows: "Treat your woman in the best manner. The woman was created from a bent rib. The part of the rib that is most bent is the top. If you seek to straighten it, you will break it. If you leave it, it will stay bent. Therefore, treat your women fairly." This is narrated by Abu Hurairah radiallahu anh, recorded in Sahih Bukhari, volume 7, page 114. Okay, now they're going to go through this hadith now, and explain it. In regards to this hadith, Muhammad al-Jibali said the reference in this hadith is to the rib's upper end, seems to point to the head, which houses the major human faculties, seeing and hearing, and the tongue that performs the speaking. I think you know where I'm going to now, yeah? I think you know where I'm going to. The woman's head is where her tongue is, and this is where she will speak, she will say things that she shouldn't say. And this is why this hadith is saying, be fair with them, like, because they were made from a bent rib, okay? The head is also the part of the body where the thinking process takes place. Now, the woman thinks differently than us. She is different, and she thinks differently than us. Ibn Hajar said it is possible that he, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, gave this example for the uppermost part of the woman, because her uppermost part is her head. It encases her tongue, from which harm comes. Interesting, you see. So when a woman's, husband's taken another wife, the way she starts thinking, the way she starts planning, the way she starts, like, yeah, comes from the top there. And it, the hadith talks about the top part of the ribs, yeah, the upper part of the ribs. This means that the difference between the man and the woman is mostly in their different approach to dealing with the issues that will require thinking. Interesting. Okay. Now, when it comes to when it comes the difference, very important. A man will sit down and think. He will plan. He will make a lot of ladies are like, they prefer to marry the old man because he's got his head screwed on and everything, and like, he plans his life. Whereas, like, the ladies are not like that. Okay. No disrespect to our sisters. I'm not being disrespectful, but this is what it's saying in the book. This means that the difference between man and woman is mainly in their different approach with dealing with issues that require thinking. So when you're in a polygamous situation, you need to think, you need to handle them, these women. You need to be able to kind of like, kind of like, in any problems or whatever, you need to be able to step in and sort it out. Okay. The way they perceive things and the way they emotionally react by laughing, cursing, and okay. Okay, I do apologize. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh again. Yeah, I do apologize. I had a very important call and couldn't keep it waiting. Anyway, so this means that the difference between the man and the woman is mostly in their different approach to dealing with things. I explained that especially in the case of polygyny. A man has to sit down and think. If really a man is supposed to get into polygyny, he must be someone who can think. Wife doesn't like her. First wife doesn't like, the second wife doesn't like, they've got some problems between them. How me in the middle, how am I going to sort that out? How am I going to arrange these things? So the way they perceive things and the way they emotionally react by laughing, cursing, and lying. That's something very, very interesting, because, like, they will curse one another. Sometimes they will lie. I mean, the Prophet Prophet's wife, what's her name, lied about the Quran. It is mentioned in the Quran when the Prophet went to, I think, Hafsa's house. Was it Hafsa and then Aisha radiallahu anha, who told him that he smells, and when he came back, and the Prophet ﷺ, I think it is going to mention it here anyway. So, the Prophet ﷺ came back and they told him that he smells, and he said, by Allah, I will never drink that again. And this is when Allah revealed the ayah of the Quran. Why do you make halal what Allah has? Why do you make haram what Allah has made halal, and why do you make halal what Allah has made haram? Kind of thing. I'm just paraphrasing it. Anyway, so it's very important, yeah, under different circumstances. In the Quran, Allah says, "Oh, you who believe, when you deal with each other in transactions involving future obligations in a fixed period and time, and get two witnesses out of your own men. If there are not two witnesses, then a man and two women, such as you choose for witnesses, so that if one of them errs, then the other one can remind her." Now, a lot of people have raised this issue with me Oh, your Quran claims that women are weak in mind or whatever. So you need an extra woman. Of course, Allah SWT, that is the way Allah SWT created them. That is why Allah SWT created them, and there's nothing we can do about that. We're not saying that women are inferior or whatever, but this is the way they were created. So Allah SWT has made it that you will need two women. Yeah, you will need two women for one man as a witness, especially because women forget. It happens that they forget, and there's nothing we can do about it. This is further explained that by Prophet ﷺ in the Hadith. Once Allah's Messenger went out of the Musalla, the place of prayer, on Eid al-Adha or Eid al-Fitr prayer. Then he passed by the women and said, "O women, give alms, as I have seen that the majority of the dwellers of hellfire were women." Okay, so he's telling them to give them sadaqah in order to expiate, in order to expiate their sins. They asked, "Why is it so, O Messenger of Allah?" He replied, "You curse frequently, okay, and you are ungrateful to your husbands. I have not seen anyone more deficient in intelligence and religion than you." Now, again, like I said, the non-Muslims will go to town with this hadith because they don't understand it. Obviously, the woman, if she's always like cursing, if she's like all the time ungrateful. So the Prophet ﷺ sees that lack of wisdom in them, that lack of intelligence in them, and the lack of religion is the fact that it's not their fault. Allah SWT makes them once every month that they reach a point where they cannot practice their deen. They cannot read Quran. They cannot read Salah. So as far as the deen is concerned, they're deficient on that as well, and it's not their fault. But the Prophet ﷺ told them, a cautious, sensible man could be led astray by some of you. The woman asked, "O Messenger of Allah, what is the deficient in our intelligence?" The Prophet ﷺ explains now, yeah, and religion. He said, Is it not?" He said, "Is not the evidence of two women equal to the witness of one man?" They replied in the affirmative. He said, "This is the deficiency in the intelligence. And isn't it true that a woman can neither pray nor fast during her menses?" The woman replied in the affirmative. He said, "This is the deficiency in religion." Again, I'm saying that we're not saying that women are deficient. But this is the way they were created. They were created with that deficiency, and the thing is that they don't have to replace that. They don't have to replace that salah that they missed. A man, if he misses salah, he has to replace it. Okay. I'd like to remind you, you're watching our People of the Book, and please subscribe, like, and share. And please excuse me for the little mishaps that happened earlier on, because I used to be epileptic and I've been on medication and I haven't had any lapse for a long time. I don't know what happened to me. And just suddenly my mind just went blank and I couldn't read anything. I couldn't think of anything or whatever, and just needed to take a break. Although I'm on medication, I don't know what happened. But anyway, yeah. So please like, share, and subscribe, because you can see the effort that's been put in this to give you good content. Yeah. Also, the Prophet ﷺ said, "A people that chooses a woman as their leader will not succeed." You see a lot of countries who've got women leaders, and there's a lot of confusion in there. Again, the non-Muslims will attack Islam because of that, and say women are oppressed or whatever. But when they sit down and then see for themselves, they can see that Islam was right. Okay, so the above sayings become more understandable when we look at the physical and psychological changes that occur in women due to a range of different things. Now, we're supposed to be looking into the psyche of a woman now. This is why now we're able to understand it in that context. because we're looking at the psyche of a woman. And now the sisters say that, like, when we look at the physical and psychological changes that occur in a woman would every month, every end of the month, she has her menses. When she gets pregnant, she's moody, she's this, she's that, and, like, she has things that affect her, obviously. And he mentions here these include the menstrual cycle, pregnancy, menopause, infertility, and miscarriage. The menstrual cycle causes physical and emotional changes in a woman before and during the menstruation. Physical symptoms include bloating, fatigue, headache, cramps, backache, and sore breasts. Emotional symptoms include irritability, depression, tension, anxiety, and insecurity, liturgy. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Liturgy, loneliness, tearfulness, and changes in the mood. As much as 80% of women experience some of these symptoms. Approximately 40% are substantially disturbed by them. So now I've actually got the answer how to answer these people when they mention that, your prophet said that women are deficient or whatever. I had the answer that I was giving them, but this is another very good answer. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to carry on for about another maybe 10-15 minutes. I mean, excluding the pauses that I had earlier on. I'm going to kind of edit this and try and put it together so, like, it becomes one. It becomes one episode. Okay, and then it says here, like, but it says here that okay, yeah, and approximately 10% are seriously disabled by the result of them. Pregnancy causes psychological changes, including prenatal depression and postnatal depression. A woman knows that. A woman knows that. You ask that to a woman, she knows that. But what these people do, they come and raise these issues with men. What answer is the man going to give you? He doesn't have an answer for you because he doesn't know the psyche of a woman. Now we're learning the psyche of a woman now. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Pregnancy causes psychological changes, including prenatal depression and postnatal depression, both of which can cause drowsiness, memory loss, anxiety, and irritability. Well, that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decided that there should be two witnesses, two female witnesses for one man. The answer is there because they have memory loss, they have anxiety, they have irritability with the natural way. It comes naturally, That's the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created them. Menopause is the phase of a woman's life prior to and during the cessation of her menstrual cycle. This can at least last up to 15 years in some women. Now I understand something. Okay, I understand something now. Okay, and causes physical and psychiatric symptoms, including hot flashes, sleeplessness, irritability, mood swings, short-term memory loss, migraines, headaches, urinary inconsistency, and weight gain. And then, of course, there are psychological strains that infertility and miscarriage can have on a woman. All these can only affect women and can affect any given woman at any time given, resulting in a mild to severe effects on her condition. So yeah, obviously now, if, for example, a woman had to witness and she's suffering through that, that's why another woman is brought forward together with her in case she forgets or in case she's got that problem, and that one might forget as well, and the other one might say no. So this is why men don't go through that. We don't have to have this problem, but since women have it, then obviously this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made them two women to one man. So I wish that, like, they will understand this when we put this to the non-Muslim. I wish they will understand this, because, like, if you ask a woman, I'm sure she will vouch that, like, this is right. To proceed further, it was narrated by Anas radiallahu anhu that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was on a journey, and a slave, Anayasha, was chanting, singing for the camels to let them go. To let them go fast. While the Prophet ﷺ said, "Oh, Anayasha, drive slowly the camels with the glass vessel." Abu Qilaba said, by the glass vessels, he meant the women riding on the camels. So they were fragile. The women who were with them were fragile. They were like glass vessels. Yeah. So we understand it in the Islamic terminology, and we understand that, like, this is not against women or whatever. Many scholars, including Bukhari, Qurtubi, and Al-Asqalani, say that Allah's Messenger meant two things by this. The women have delicate nature and weak build, and driving them too fast could make them fall or harm them in one way. Yeah. The women have emotional nature, and are thus easy to be moved by singing and poetry. Now, you can capture a woman's heart if you're a poet, or, like, if you know how to sing, or you can easily capture that woman's heart, okay, and bring fitna to them. Yeah. You want to catch a woman, you make a poem about her, and that will make her, like, lose her mind, basically. At another place in the Quran, Allah said, we'll read this last page, and then also we'll go to this page as well. Yeah, well, this page finishes. Okay. Okay. At another place in the Quran, Allah says, men are protectors and maintainers of women, because Allah has given one more strength than the other. I mentioned that verse earlier on. When it says more strength here, it doesn't mean strength like, in power, or, like, you be able to manipulate them. No, it is a responsibility, and the case of responsibility and care for them. Yeah. And because they support them with their means. Therefore, the righteous women are devoutly obedient and guard in the husband's absence what Allah would have them guard. And that means they guard their chastity. Yeah? As well, it is narrated by Osama bin Zayd, the Prophet ﷺ said, "After me, I have not left any affliction more harmful to man than woman." Okay, he's not meaning that in a bad way. He's not kind of undermining women or whatever. But the fitness in nisa is one of the top fitnas. Yeah, a man is with his wife or whatever, and he will turn on and look at another woman. Although Quran has told us to lower your gaze, okay, we will try and lower our gaze, but there's times that he couldn't, he cannot, like, lower his gaze, and that is his weakness. So the Prophet ﷺ is saying that, like, he has not left a man with more harmful than the Prophet ﷺ said, "After me, I have not left any affliction more harmful than that of the woman." In explanation of this hadith, Hafiz Salahuddin Yusuf said, according to this hadith, women and their beauty are the greatest and most dangerous mischief for men. This fact can be easily verified by verification. Women have the undeniable ability to sway the hearts of men and easily lead them astray with their emotions and their sex appeal. She can make a man act disobediently to Allah, continuing okay. What I'll do is, I think I'll do this and we'll finish here. Yeah. Continuing, the Prophet ﷺ said about women, fear Allah with regards to women, because they are captives to you. Okay. So understand that now. We're going through the psyche of women, and obviously because of the little problems that we have earlier on, I have to stop here, page 72, the bottom of page 72. But we're beginning to understand that the psyche of women is different to the psyche of men. There's a lot of things that she cannot do. There's a lot of things that make her deficient and everything, you know. So it's not her fault. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created her that way, and she will get her rewards. If she's patient and everything, she will get her rewards. And like the Prophet ﷺ told the women to give charity, give sadaqah, because he found them in hell. There were mostly women. Okay, so we'll stop here, inshallah. Please forgive me, and like I said, for what happened earlier on. It's the first time it's happened to me for so long, so long. I don't know what it is, although I'm taking my medication, but need to see my doctor and understand what's going on. But anyway, we'll finish here, and we'll come back next week, and we'll start on page 73. We're still on the women's the psyche of the women. Okay, and we'll go from there, and whatever needs to add, we will add from different books and everything. I hope this is beneficial to you. If there's anything that is wrong that I've said, it's from me. May Allah forgive me. And anything good from it is from Allah. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.